Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of What's Happening Thursday with the Far Out team. I'm joined here today with Callum, our marketing coordinator, and Abby, the other owner of Far Out Wilderness. And today we're chatting winter driving as we're transitioning into our ski season. So thanks for joining, Callum, Abby. I know you guys have also both experienced the BC highways quite a bit over the last few seasons. What do you guys think is really important when we talk about safe winter driving and some do's and don'ts that people can and can't do when they're on the road? What comes to mind with you guys when you're heading out on the highways?
I can jump in first. I think a couple of things for me is really making sure that you know what you're driving into, what are the conditions out there, what's the weather forecast going to look like, and just having a quick check on Drive BC is always a tool that I like to take a look at before heading out into it.
Yeah, I
Um,
think Drive BC is a great app and website and resource to kind of check what the road conditions are, and they change so quickly as well. Like it's a good thing to keep on top of. Callum, when you were out there the other winter, you got a little bit of a skid on, didn't you, in one of the trucks? How did you manage to cope with that?
I did, yeah. A lot of lessons to be learned from that one. Luckily, I was following my core winter driving rule, which is always driving to what the conditions might be, and a lot of that is really based around the speed limit. So you're going to see on these BC roads like a lot of 100 km/h speed limits. Those are for ideal summer conditions. So yeah, I ended up on a little bit of black ice in the Kicking Horse Pass, but luckily I was in a situation where I was driving well under the speed limit. I was probably going about 60. And the cars around me were all in a good, safe following distance. So, yeah, it's always a little bit of a frightening moment if that happens. But the cars behind me had lots of space to adjust. The cars in front of me were well clear. Cars on the other side also going at normal speed. So, yeah, if you get into that moment where you're sliding, very important to just try and stay calm. You don't want to push the gas anymore, sort of lightly tap the brakes to try and get that emergency response going and get the truck back in. But after a couple of seconds, I was able to right the truck and get going on the road again. So, yeah, it very much speaks to the importance of always being prepared because you never know. Even in a good 4x4, you could hit that black ice unexpectedly, and it can occasionally do a number on even the best equipped vehicle.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the reaction is always to like steer more. When you get into that skid and you lose control, is to oversteer. And then problem with that is obviously then the wheel's always going to find traction at some point. And if you've overcorrected, then I think Abby, completely different, but back in when we lived in Malawi in the mud roads of down when you were doing some 4x4ing down there, didn't you also have a bit of a skid on uh, in the mud?
I think that's an understatement in the mud, but we're on about winter driving here, I thought, right? But anyway, yeah, a lot of 4x4 and off-road experiences from our time in Malawi, and mud is very different, obviously, to ice, black ice. It's a bit more visible. But yeah, I definitely had a couple of moments there of well, one getting completely stuck, and two, yeah, a really nice skid into the storm drain there, which was a difficult one to get out of because it was super muddy. But yeah,
Yeah, and I think there's a lot that people can do as well to also prepare themselves for make sure that their vehicles, especially like with one of our rentals, even though they've got winter tires and snow chains, if you've left your vehicle outside and it's completely covered in snow, for example, I think most people don't realize that you've got to clear all of that off, like off the roof, you can't go dry. Like, I don't know if anyone's been stuck behind somebody that hasn't cleared snow off their roof, and it's like being stuck in a blizzard.
Yeah, it's the worst, and it's actually a highly ticketable offense in British Columbia. Like it's one of those things that you absolutely have to do that. The laws on safe winter driving are very strict, and they're all really around saving lives and keeping everyone as safe as possible. But like another interesting kind of anecdote of that is I was talking about speed limits earlier, but if you're going say 90 kilometers an hour in a 100-kilometer-an-hour zone in the middle of a blizzard, you could get a speeding ticket for that. Like you could get pulled over. It's left up to the assessment of the highway patrol to determine what safe driving practices are. So if there's something like snow flying off the back of your car, or if you're driving, even 20, 30 below a posted speed limit in a blizzard, those are definitely things that can get you ticketed for. And all those guys are doing, the team out there is doing such a great job keeping everyone safe in these very remote roads. So, it's
That's
really
that's interesting. I didn't know that. So you can get ticketed if you're going like too fast, even though it's the speed limit if you're going too fast in unsafe conditions.
Yeah, I was chatting with the Kootenai Highway Patrol a couple of weeks back, and they give out dozens of tickets per year of people who are driving 70 kilometers in a snowstorm, and they're
Ah,
all
interesting.
shocked. But it's a very good lesson to learn. But yeah, absolutely. That 100 kilometers an hour is in ideal conditions,
Yeah.
and almost never in winter, in deep winter months, are you going to get ideal conditions.
No,
Yeah.
that's true. Like I think I did it just the other week and it was already winter is definitely here in large parts of BC, and you get stuck in one of those blizzards, and it's tough to see where you're going. I think the biggest advice you can probably give people is slow down. Like make sure you give yourself plenty of time to get where you need to be. You don't want to be driving in the dark, especially if you hit those mountain passes in the middle of a snowstorm. So make sure you leave with enough time to get where you need to go, and give yourself like slow down. You don't need to be doing 100, 120 to try and break your
I don't
speed
think you
record.
can.
You should,
Well, yeah,
yeah, you should
I
never be anywhere close to it. Yeah,
I
yeah.
I think I just want to build into that space because it's really like just a different attitude to driving, right? Through winter. You've got to go there or know or go in expecting that there's going to be unknowns in this space. You think you want to get there in a certain time frame, probably not going to happen because it's out of your control. And the most important thing is just doing it safely. So building in that time and just having that attitude of, yeah, maybe there's going to be some delays, or maybe there is, the pass is going to be impassable for a little while, and I'm going to have to stop and wait. And just accept that that's part of this journey. So it's more of an experience rather than getting from point A to B as efficiently as possible. Like that just needs to go out the window.
yeah.
Uh,
Embracing the overlanding. It's the journey, not the destination.
That's the one.
to
Yeah,
add
yeah.
on the delays side for that, like so if you're looking at taking a ski trip and you're looking at a few different spots in North America, perhaps maybe you're thinking about Utah or Colorado, what you'll see in like Utah and Colorado is that the hotels get super booked up. They're very, very pricey, which can encourage some bad driving behavior. If you've got a reservation for a hotel that's like $500 a night, like you're going to want to get there, which can potentially lead you to be driving in unsafe conditions. I would say, with the exception of winter, like peak winter break, for the most part, there are tons of motels all around these towns in like remote parts of BC that are almost never booked up. So you really don't necessarily have to have reservations. And if you get caught in a big storm, especially if you're in a less than ideal vehicle, you can definitely adjust your plans pretty easily. The only exception I would maybe put to that is Banff, which gets pretty big booked up with limited space in the national park. But even there, you got Canmore, just like 30 minutes outside the park. So there's a lot more options and a lot more possibilities for flexibility in your trip in BC. And accommodation is much more reasonably priced than it is in spots in the States. So a huge advantage as far as safe driving that we have out here.
Oh, nice. That's good to know. I didn't know that either. Um, So what do you go when you guys are heading off and doing these ski trips? What is some things that like or essentials to make sure you've got in the vehicle? To make sure if you do have to change your plans or you get stuck, like that you're safe and you're prepared.
Yeah, I think I've over the years, there's just the winter kit box, right? Just going to keep getting keep getting that kit box in and out every winter. Some of the main staples in there for me is first aid kit, obviously goes without saying. That's an all year round item. Just having extra water, high energy snacks, or just some snacks. And when you pack that winter kit the first time, make sure you go to check the snacks because there's nothing worse than like a year and a half old snacks.
All the kids have been
Then
in there.
or the kids have been there and eaten them all, and then there are no snacks when you need them. I would say some sort of phone charger, battery situation to get onto communications. And then really the spare clothing and warm things, and just not relying on what you've thrown in the car for your trip, but having some spare clothing and having a couple of warm blankets in there. And the other one that I like to have for the kids is the hand warmers and the foot warmers, even if they're not essential at that moment. They're just chill off if the kids are feeling cold.
Yeah, the hand warmers and foot warmers have definitely saved me with the kids a couple of times. Just to keep everybody in good spirits. Um, and then I think like obviously making sure for our trucks we obviously check all of our tire depths and how that they come with snow chains and traction boards and everything in case the worst does come. But I think even though you've got winter tires on your vehicle, we're making sure that the tread depth is sufficient, and they recommend at least 3.5 mil of tread depth before heading off and doing any winter driving. So I think always be on top of your maintenance and making sure that your vehicle is properly equipped to go do some of these high, because even the main highways, yes, they plow them and they grit them and all of that, but they can't do it consistently. Like you get stuck in one of those snowstorms and you need to be able to adapt to the conditions. Um,
Yeah, and I think that brings on some other equipment really, right? Like it's amazing how much like washer fluid and de-icer washer fluid you're going to go through on some of these trips, especially if you get stuck behind the gritter, which is not a bad place to be, but it's a tough one. And then just from a safety side as well, like just making sure that you have got that shovel. And we were talking about removing snow. Well, the small little handheld piece isn't going to do it when you're trying to clear a foot of snow off the top of the truck. So making sure you've got that big brush and things like that is also, and a shovel is also needed.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, guys, this has been fantastic and really informative. Like I think I've learned a few things from my side that I didn't know before. And yeah, hopefully you guys all got some winter ski trips planned.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to be doing the Powder Highway as every year. Have to make your way through, Fernie and Rogers Pass and all those beautiful areas. So I always do it in the spring, but you can still get caught in big snowstorms in the spring. We had fresh snow on every day of my trip last year in mid-March. So
Oh wow. Yeah.
roads are typically a little safer. Like March is actually statistically the safest month on the roads in BC. I think it's in large part because people have been out driving in winter for a few months, but yeah, you can still get caught in those blizzards. Being behind a snowplow, actually, that's the best place to be, from what I've heard from Highway Patrol. You're gonna have the cleanest road that you have there, but yeah, you might get a little bit kicked back onto your windshield in
Yeah.
the process, but give them lots of space. That should do the trick. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, fantastic. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next time for What's Happening Thursday. Take care.